We are speaking on the main motion.
Tom Canfield, 47 Katrina Circle. I would just add that if one of the things mentioned earlier was that the idea of this ordinance was to make people better informed. And I'm all in favor of that. If the idea is purely to be informed about a referendum, then why not decouple this from any other agency, any other group within Bethel, and why not put a motion forward that says that the selectmen should consider sending out a postcard every time there's a referendum? Why combine this? Why combine this with having any other communication that's being sent out be sent to everybody? Why not just say there's a postcard that's going to go out when there's an ordinance, and it's got nothing to do with the school system, it's got nothing to do with any other agency, it's got nothing to do with anything except when there's a referendum, there'll be a postcard.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else on the main motion who hasn't spoken yet?
Binder, 39 Codfish Hill Road. I just want to have a few points of clarity.
Sure.
We're discussing over here regarding the email, which I agree with the woman who spoke. Sorry.
You got to speak into the mic, so they can. You got to put your mouth a bit.
We're just having some questions over here about points of clarity regarding the ordinance. So I agree completely with the woman who just spoke about email. And if I look across at the way we seem to be divided, it's really unfortunate to me. It seems to be a little bit on a demographic, which is age. Yes, age, which is sort of concerning to me. And I certainly agree that everyone should be notified of everything. But I just want to reiterate that I would throw away a postcard. It's not a good way to communicate with several of the demographics in this town. We're teaching our children to be computer literate, that this is the way you communicate globally. And while I definitely agree with all or nothing, by going to postcards and removing my communications from the school, I would be, and many of us in the town, would be missing out on important information. So I would hope that the Board of Selectmen considers this, and if it is truly an all-or-nothing ordinance, that it be all communication in all various forms to all members of the town. And obviously there would be costs with that, but it should not eliminate my right to receive emails about town situations.
I just have a question.
So you've got to speak into the mic.
Okay.
Okay. Identify yourself.
23 Quaker Ridge Road, Bethel, Connecticut. I understand the postcards are expensive and the Board of Ed sends out its email, but you know, we had an experience last October where we received robocalls constantly, and they were good things, very good things. Why can't this happen when it comes to a vote? And how much would that cost? Would it be as prohibitive as the postcard? But yet, it would be informing everybody in town when there was a vote and when you needed to come.
I would like to... all right, Matt Knickerbocker, 10 Colonial Drive. I would like to address Kitty's question because I did want to provide some clarity to this. There's some history that you need to know, and I agree with the speakers who said that this division, and you know, we're getting a little bit tense in here, is completely unnecessary. Now, Billy and I started this conversation a year ago, and what happened was, to the point that Kitty made, after the town meeting set the budget and it was going to referendum, the school system sent out a robocall, and it was a simple call that said, the referendum is this coming Tuesday. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's all it said. Now, Billy and I have, and Billy, I'm sure will speak to this as well. Billy and I have discussed this, you know, for years. And Billy's contention is that because it's mostly parents who voluntarily sign up for these, that it's a kind of a pre-selected audience who gets the notice. And that other people in town who are not on the robocall list and not on the superintendent's email list are not getting that simple notification that says, remember that the referendum is, you know, tomorrow, today, whenever it goes out. So I was sitting in the office with Wendy, our town administrator, and Billy and I were talking about this, and I said, he asked me, can you do that same thing on the town side? And I said, yeah, sure, we can do that. I think that's a great idea. And for the record, I want you to know that I am for all forms of communication. You can't over-communicate with constituents and voters. You know, I'm not in favor of restricting anything. I'm in favor of putting out as much communication as possible. So I had said to Billy, sure, we'll do a robocall. I'll set one up right now. And now my timing was off because Mr. Waller walked in the room, and he said, like, he went like this. He said, "Time out. You can't do that with the town Everbridge system. That's what that emergency notification system is called." And I said, "Why not?" And he explained to me that Everbridge is for public safety. It is regulated by state law, and it is protected from freedom of information when you sign up for it. Anybody here, many people I'm sure had signed up for this, so you got all my calls, when the power was out, all that stuff. It's a voluntary system, and what we told you, what the town of Bethel told you, and what the state of Connecticut told you was, if you sign up for this, you can put your cell phone, your employer's phone, your kids' cell phones, and it will be protected. It will not be available to, say, a political organization or a telemarketer, because otherwise, anything that's on a town computer is open to the public. You can get it. So we promised you that you would never get a telemarketing call because you signed up for this. So therefore, we actually sat with Homeland Security attorneys who sat in our office with Freedom of Information Commission member, or attorney from FOI, and they said, if you violate that rule and you do the robocall for anything but public safety, your shield goes away, and all those, you basically have to start over and say, we want all you people to sign up for this, but know that other people can get your number. So at that time, a year ago, Billy and I talked, and I said, how about if we send a postcard? And he said, fine. So I have personally never been opposed to sending a postcard. Not only that, I said we would send one, subject to having enough budget to do it, to make sure we had the postage. It's not quite as inexpensive as Mr. Hellman said, because in order to get it done, we're going to have a town meeting on May 7th, and it's going to set the date of the referendum, and our staff is not going to have time to do 7,500 cards manually, so we'll have to take a name and address list, or take a general town list, give it to a printer, and that individual will print it and fulfill it instantly, within a few days, so you get it in time. And for the record, I have always said that I thought that is another layer of communication on top of the calls, on top of the emails that everybody should get. There's really no need for all or none. I'm just in favor of all. Thank you.
Just a point of clarification, because if I was a member sitting out in the audience, it would come to mind. You mentioned a robocall that the Board of Education did a year ago. Are they not subject to the same restrictions for Homeland Security?
No, they're not.
They are not subject to the same, and why not?
Marty can address that.
I don't have what's right in front of me, but it's my understanding that
You got to talk in the microphone.
I think Mr. Kravis could help me out here. I think there was a ruling once before regarding a request to get the email list, was there not? And I think because under the FOI, students' addresses and information regarding students are exempt under the FOI. So I think that's the main reason, in most cases, why it's not going to be given out.
And the list that we are adding to now with people who are signing up and do not have children in the school system is a separate list that we are keeping. It is not melded with the list of parents. We use the robocalls to advise parents if there is a school closing. We used it recently when we had a lockdown in all the schools because of that issue that occurred behind Berry School.
But my question is this: you're not subject to the okay. That's all I wanted. I wanted to go into. I have to clarify. So, in other words, the Board of Education can still make these robocalls, but the town can't for the budget notification. Am I correct in saying that?
Correct. All it was
No, just if the town wanted to start a separate email list, if the town wanted to start a separate email list, they could certainly do that, Mr. Gallagher. Once the town starts this open list that has nothing to do with safety, that hasn't been signed off by Homeland Security, it is subject to FOI. Anybody can get it, and the next thing you know, you're going to get phone calls from whoever, stores, everybody else. That's the difference.
I see. So in other words, the town, the rest of the residents are not allowed to have receive those robocalls.
You mean the ones that we have right now for the safety issues?
No, the ones that goes out from the Board of Education for the notifying for budget. The town people aren't eligible for that.
Oh, they can certainly sign up for
But
it.
they have to sign up individually then.
That's correct.
I see.